It is a very good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Real Talk Show, wherever you're streaming from. Welcome. It's another lovely Friday afternoon. My name is George, and good afternoon to the rest of Africa and the rest of the world. So, today we have a very interesting topic. We're talking about the youth led HIV support networks, creating safe spaces online as well as in person. So, what innovative ways are young people creating safe spaces for each other, both online as well as in person? And how can these youth-led groups help with challenges like treatment adherence, especially when an individual might feel isolated? This is what we're here to talk about. And of course, joining me on the show today is John Moya, who is a passionate HIV positive activist, medical student dedicated to fighting stigma, promoting treatment literacy, and empowering young people to thrive with experience in community outreach, media, as well as the youth-led initiative. So he'll be joining us and sharing all this wealth of experience that he has, as well as Sia Junza, who is chairperson of Adolescent Health Group at Champagne Clinic. Not forgetting Brian Moine, who is a community facilitator under the Youth Prevention Advocacy Campaign project being implemented by the Youth Platform. So, guys, welcome to the show, and what a lovely pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much.
All right, it's always a pleasure to have such a. I feel like today is going to be a very, very powerful show. And judging from the topic, of course, the youth-led HIV support networks, creating safe spaces, both online as well as in person. Now, John, for benefit of our viewers streaming right now, could you just give us a short background of who John Moya is?
Thank you so much for having me. John Moya is a young man coming from a family of 4. I'm the last born, and I'm the only person living with HIV. So I was diagnosed with HIV at the age of 9, with history of having childhood illnesses from one hospital to another, prayers here and there. Not until around November 2005, I was taken to the hospital where an HIV test was done, and it was a confirmed diagnosis that I was HIV positive. So that diagnosis was not only HIV, but later on, they also found me with TB and quite a number of other illnesses. I had a CT4 count of 0.7. I love to add the 0 on the beginning because oftentimes people would feel like it's 70 or 700. So I had a CT4 count of 0.7. I was unable to be in school. I struggled with stigma, I struggled with discrimination, and I also struggled with some self-beliefs about life and self-limitations as well. So, and through the support group, I've been able to, I got education on HIV, not only HIV, but self-empowerment as well, and investing in knowledge. Later on, I started working with different organizations where I served as an adolescent counselor. Later on, I worked in another organization where I was acting as a supervisor, by the way. And before when you look at everything, it was a rumor for a person living with HIV to do all that. But now it's possible. So as a brief intro, I think let me end it there.
No, it's good that we've had you on the show. I must confess, I first saw you. I think you might remember this a while back. I think you were on, correct me if I'm wrong, I first saw you on ZNBC. Was it Smooth Talk? You once featured on Smooth Talk or some years back. Could be you, couldn't be you, but I'm guessing it was you. Was it you? All right. Okay. So anyhow, as an HIV positive activist and medical student, how have you used your personal story to create a safe space for young people who are living with HIV in terms of today's topic, where we're talking about safe spaces. Have you tried to ensure that young people do not feel isolated, both online as well as in person? What have you done? Could you give us some specific examples on how you've been able to try and create safe spaces that have helped other young people?
Okay, thank you for the question. So firstly, when we look at an HIV diagnosis and what it carries with, every time when a person is tested for HIV, the first words are that you've been found positive and you have to be on medication today. And in most cases, people are initiated on treatment, and people will be on treatment, and people have to take medications. But there's quite a number of other things that uh, people living with HIV go through. Among them are emotional struggles and different questions like, why me? And how can I navigate all this? Even the struggle of identity, many people find it hard to realize that they're still the same person despite of them being diagnosed with HIV. People feel like just because I've been told I'm positive, everything about me changes. I can no longer have dreams, I can no longer find love, and what comes in are limitations based on an HIV diagnosis. So personally, looking at the struggles I've been through, I struggled with stigma and discrimination, like I mentioned earlier. And that stigma, at one point, I was not allowed to be in school. And later on, I went to the hospital where the doctor said, okay, yes, you are unwell and you can't be in school because there were issues of you're going to infect other people and so forth. Not only that, I really wanted to be in school. And it's a desire, like you want to be in school, but the school policy says you can't be in school. And even when you want to be in school and the school policy says you can't be in school, people at home are also scared to interact with you because they're scared of getting infected. I had sores all over my body. I had TB. I had a continuous diarrhea and so forth. So like I was a sick person. That time I was reading my file, I was described as a musculoskeletal. It was very visible for you to see my skeletal framework, to say, okay, I can see this bones, because I had lost weight for my age and height. Initially, if I would even post a photo of myself when I was 9, people would often mistake the age. People would think maybe I was a bit younger, but I was somewhere around 9, meaning that I was not growing the time I had HIV. I mean, the time I was diagnosed with HIV. So with all that information and the personal struggles with adherence, the pill burden, people saying you have HIV, you have AIDS, you're going to die, nothing can come out of you and so forth, let me realize that a number of other people today are still having the same mindset today. Just because they've been diagnosed with HIV, they feel like nothing good can come out of their lives. So I thought of reaching out to many young people in terms of educating them and bringing about awareness and self-realization that, yes, indeed, the best can come out of any person that is living with HIV. So around 2017, 2018, I was working at the hospital where I was very privileged to serve as an adolescent ambassador, viral champion, and a role model for young people in the ART department. And during that time, I was managing over 200 people. These are people that were struggling with suppressing the virus, suppressing the viral load. They had struggles with adherence, they had struggled with acceptance. And one thing that came out was that the stigma had really affected them to a point they would say, I think there's nothing much that can come out of my life because I'm positive. I think the best thing that can happen to me is to die. And people defaulted treatment, and the pill burden by that time was too much because people were taking more than 3 tablets, and it was so hard. Learning about that and looking at where I'm coming from, I thought, these are myths, but how best can we educate young people? I thought about coming open and share my status so that many young people can realize and know that, yes, indeed, I'm not alone. And yes, indeed, the sky is no longer the limit. So I began reaching to young people through different medias, TV, radio, community. I also have church programs where I visit different churches talking about HIV and filtered conversation. We talk about it from a person's, I talk about it as a person living with HIV. We begin talking about information about HIV as well. So I'm also currently doing university and school sensitization. At one point, I was at a hospital, and one thing that I realized was that we have got many people who have been trained to become healthy practitioners, but they have little information about HIV. And they tend to have a bit of information in the camp for practicals. But my desire is to foster in an understanding and informative fellow students that are aware about what HIV is all about. Because if we have if we have students across any faculty that do not have information on issues like HIV, it becomes a struggle, because now who educate people that do not have an opportunity to be in school? So personally, I've taken in an initiative where I have unfiltered conversations with regards to sharing my story and giving information on what HIV is all about, talking about prevention, talking about treatment, talking about the latest science discovery and anything people need to realize and know about HIV. Apart from that, I've also integrated the aspect of mental health in my approach, because people living with HIV are twice likely to face mental challenges, because when you look at what stigma and discrimination brings about, it brings about a feeling of shame, guilty, rejection. It also brings about isolation as well. So you realize that oftentimes people are alone, people are anxious, people are depressed, people are stressed, and they navigate all this all alone. So I thought of, let me also bring about awareness on how we can also overcome this, and just also pointing out where they can also access and get help when they need it.
Okay, now, John, my question to you is, what have you found to be a bit more effective when you're engaging with young people or the medical students, as you have said, who may not be trained in stigma, as well as may not really have more knowledge on how to handle young people living with HIV when they come to at the health facilities? My question to you is, what have you found to be effective in your engagement and educating these individuals to create a safe space for a better network? Is it sharing your story, or maybe just your teachings? And what are the challenges that you have faced when it's trying to impart this knowledge on others?
So for me, it's about creating networks. So the networks I'm talking about is, first of all, identifying people that can play a bigger role. Because when you talk about university setup, we talk about church or community setup, there are people that are influential in those setups. So personally, I approached people that are decision makers in these areas. I've shared my story, and I've shared how much I feel I can contribute to the students, populace, to idea, and they gave me a go ahead. So personally, in my approach, I use my story as a way to reach out, because it's practical. We don't have to use any theories. We don't have to get examples anywhere else. We have to use. I use my story for that. Yeah, and when we talk about these networks, they just don't happen. We need to create them, and we need to create them through trust, and we also need training, and we also need to create that partnership that, yes, indeed, we're in this together. Like when you look at the idea that I have behind the university or college outreach. So basically, I first target students, new students that are just coming from high school, they're getting into university. Oftentimes they're anxious, oftentimes they're getting into an environment where they do not know what their lives holds. And oftentimes when you look at the school setup, there's so much influence, so much peer pressure and so forth. And I bring in the aspect of, for people that are living with HIV, what can they do now that they're in school? At one point, I worked with one of the hospitals in Lusaka, and unfortunately, they were looking at people that were on treatment but had unsuppressed viral load. So among the people were students. And one thing that I learned was that the major barrier why students are not even taking their medication is because they're scared of what their friends would say. They are scared. Maybe if my friend sees me taking these medications every day, they will spread out rumors and so forth. But when we meet now with the new students, and now I intend to integrate more students, this is where now we talk about it, saying it's okay to take medications. A person even with HIV
Yes.
lives the same life expectancy like any other person. And we just talk about, can you tell the difference between me and a person that is HIV negative? And the fact is, you can't tell the difference because treatment is working and prevention is available. Another thing that I also spotted out was lack of information in many institutions such as universities and churches with regards to prevention of HIV, such as PrEP and PEP. People know the common abstinence, the common condom, and the common abstinence now is losing its value because there's this notion that no one is abstaining, everyone is having sex. But the fact is, there's still people that are still abstaining from sex. And it is important for us to go back to it and say abstinence is the best method to prevent HIV. Not only HIV, we're talking about STIs and pregnancy as well. But if you feel like you can't abstain, what can you do next? This is where now we've got provision of condoms. If you feel like some people would say, no, I'm allergic to condoms. We also have other provisions such as PrEP and PEP. But the fact is, PrEP will only prevent you against contracting HIV, but you can still contract other STIs such as syphilis, gonorrhea, and other STIs. So there's also lack of information, and I also try by all means to integrate the aspect of treatment, prevention, and just living a normal and productive life.
All right. Thank you, John. If you just joined us, welcome to the Real Talk Show. My name is George. Today's topic of discussion is the youth-led HIV support networks, creating safe spaces online as well as in person. What innovative ways are young people creating these safe spaces for each other, both online as well as in person? This is what we're discussing. How can these youth-led groups as well as initiatives help with challenges like adherence to treatment, especially when an individual feels isolated? John, I'll get back to you shortly. Let me welcome Elvis Yajunza, chairperson of the Adolescent Health Group at Champagne Clinic. Elvis, good afternoon.
Afternoon, thank you.
All right, Elvis, maybe just for somebody streaming with us right now, wondering what the role does the chairperson, what's the chairperson's role at this adolescent health? What do you do on a daily basis as chairperson?
All right, so as a chairperson, it's just a way of being organized, but anyway, the whole thing is all about peer education. So my role is to ensure that there is order in terms of delivery of information of sexual productive rights, being available at the clinic for people that need services. Because these days, we adolescents are supposed to be available and attend to our fellow adolescents when they come to seek for sexual productive health services.
Okay, and I must say you have a very organized team, Elvis, at Champagne Clinic. It's one of the most organized that I have traveled around the country, so yeah, kudos to you and your team. From your perspective, what is the most single important thing that a young person needs to hear after being told that they are HIV positive? And how do you peer-led groups such as yours, the one that you belong to at Champagne, help deliver the message? For example, a young person has come, and then after the testing, you have done all the necessary things that you need to do, for example, to create them to be tested. Once they are tested, they know their results. How do you support? How do you create a safe space for them?
All right, thank you so much. So adolescents at Champagne Clinic have been engaged into counseling services. Myself, when someone has been tested for HIV and they've been diagnosed to be HIV positive, the first thing that we need to show them it's definitely confidentiality. You assure them of complete confidentiality of the case and ensure that they understand our role, because from that point, if it is an adolescent, automatically we become best friends just there. So if you are an adolescent, you come for HIV testing at Champagne Clinic, you're going to meet your friend, myself. I will attend to you, help you understand that HIV is just a condition that you're going to live with, but it's manageable, of course. So there's also, and we emphasize on the need of adherence, why if you maintain adherence, taking medication at the right time, you can reach a point called U equals to U, a point where the viral load has been suppressed and it can no longer manifest in your body, but it is there though, but we emphasize that. So when you're doing outreaches, maybe in schools, we ensure to tell people that adolescents are available at Champagne Clinic at the facility and are already available to attend to fellow adolescents in case of fear of being attended by people that they're already familiar with, like maybe their aunties, an adolescent cannot be free to discuss such issues with your family members or maybe neighbors, so to say. But with us adolescents, it's like a free environment where they're able to freely interact with us and be able to ask questions that they want to know, and we give them the right information.
All right, Elvis. Now, you spoke of adherence to medication. Are there any ways that you've been able to support a young person to ensure that they are adhering to medication? For example, do you have a WhatsApp group or a messaging technique that you use to remind a friend to take up the medication? Could you share if there's any situation or an example where you have helped a friend, remind a friend to say, because it's normal, people forget, but do you have such a situation where you are able to encourage, remind, text, call within your group?
All right, thank you so much. So for those adolescents that we've recognized to be professional in terms of handling HIV cases and people living with HIV, like let's say trained peer educators, actually, those that understand the whole thing, they are linked to every person within a group who is HIV positive. So our main role is to, myself, I do contact a friend. I do have friends who I contact. Maybe if they take the medicine at 20 hours, I make sure I call them a direct call. Then you ask them, have you taken the medicine or not? Then they'll tell me, yes, I have. Okay, just maintain it like that. So in that way, we ensure that the person is both free with you and they feel loved. They don't feel isolated, and stigma is not going to be a barrier where we are found. Thank you.
So today's topic is youth-led HIV support networks, creating safe spaces, both online as well as in person. Now, I'll ask you this question, Elvis, before I let you go. What does creating a safe space mean to you as a youth that is coming from within Champagne, or as chairperson of adolescent health group at Champagne Clinic? What does creating a safe space mean? Why is it important to create a safe space?
All right, thank you so much for the question. So a safe space is generally a place where youths are able to freely express their feelings, ask questions, and understand and be given the right information from the right sources. A safe space is a place where people believe in adequate information, of course, where they can be free to ask questions and be given the right information. That is a safe space. So how do we create a safe space? By ensuring that we interact with everyone, make sure that everyone is included in all programs and all activities. If you create a program, everyone has to be included in a way that is acceptable with everyone, and to just make sure that everyone is free and interacting. There's nothing like there's this certain group, a special group. Everyone is just the same when we are talking of a free space. A free space is like Champagne Clinic Adolescent Health Group. This is a place where young people are able to come and feel free, ask questions, and interact with their fellow adolescents at all times. I don't know if I've answered.
No, you have. Thank you so much, Elvis. To everybody streaming right now with us, welcome to the Real Talk Show. Today's topic is the youth-led HIV support networks. We are creating safe spaces both online as well as in person. Now, I'd like to turn to a community facilitator under the Youth-Led Advocacy Project. which is supported by AHF Zambia. Now, Brian Mwene, welcome to the show and good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you, George. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Now, I know you are one of the hardest working young men that I know this month.
Thank you so much, George.
Yeah, and I know you're doing great work in Batoka as well as Shampande on this project. Now, my question to you is, how do you identify and connect with young people who might be struggling with HIV, especially those who are not yet linked to a clinic or support group? What are some of the barriers you face in building trust with these young people?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question, George. I think one of the barriers that we faced with regards to young people that are living with HIV is stigma and discrimination. And often at times when stigma is not the one which comes from outside, it's the stigma which comes from within, where the young person living with HIV has self-stigma. So you find that they have characteristics like low self-esteem. They can't, even when you're in a group, you are in a support group, you are discussing, they can't come out freely. So those are the young people that we identify, and we see how best we can help them. And how we help them is through the support group. We identify other young people that are doing fine with their viral loads. By doing fine, I mean their viral load is suppressed. So when you check through the records of the viral load for each young person living with HIV, you get to see that others, their viral load is suppressed, others, they're still struggling in maintaining the low numbers of the copies of the virus in blood. So what we do is that when we identify such young people, it could be through the information that we have, or those that are just newly tested, newly diagnosed with HIV. So for those that are newly diagnosed, we link them to a health facility within that catchment area, and we link them to another young person who is living with HIV for support, where they're able to remind each other to say, you're supposed to take your medication at this time, and this is how you're supposed to take it. And also for those young people that are within the support group, there are topics that we discuss in that support group, issues to do with assertiveness, issues to do with course setting. Those topics, we link them to the aspect of HIV and their viral load, and as a young person living with HIV. So when we talk about the goal setting topics, young people are able to set goals, and also those goals are going to help them to achieve even the viral load suppression, because they know that at the end of the day, I have something to achieve, and henceforth they take care, they adhere, and so far it has been good, and the response is good from the young people that are living with HIV, George. I think this approach has worked for us.
Okay, now, Brian, in the community, like, for example, Shampande as well as Batoka, I know I'm mentioning these two because this is where the project is being implemented. What role do traditional leaders, parents, teachers play in helping, in either helping or hindering the work of that you're doing? And how can you engage them to ensure that they do not pull you back, but they help you in terms of achieving the correct numbers?
Thank you so much for that question, George. So one of the biggest challenges that we faced with regards to bringing the young people that are living with HIV together is that some young people do not have support from their parents. Others still have the stigma from family and their parents, where their parents actually sometimes even deny them the opportunity to visit the support group, because even parents themselves, they know that some of them fear to say, if people know that my child, in this case, I must assure you, George, that in the support group, there is confidentiality, there is really support. So some parents fear that when their children visit the support group, other people are going to see them and obviously think that also their parents are living with HIV. And this has been a barrier for those young people that are living with HIV, even just to go for their checkups, like to check their viral loads and also their CD4 count. That has been also a challenge because some parents deny them. And what we've done is that we've engaged those parents, uh, the community. We've engaged, we called for a meeting with the community to discuss how best we can help these young people that are living with HIV. And the response was good. We came up with quite a number of solutions that parents think will work for us. And some of the reasons was why they used to deny their young people this opportunity is that they didn't have the right information. There was a lot of misconception with regards to HIV and the support group. And having discussed with them, I think now I can say that some young people, although we still have challenges, but others are coming, and the number is good. It's increasing because of that same interaction, that community engagement that we had with the community in these areas.
So, Brian, beyond the formal support groups, what informal safe spaces have you seen young people create for themselves? For example, in Batoka community, to talk about HIV and other health-related issues.
Mm-hmm. So with Batoka and Champande, other than the HIV support group, there is a youth-friendly space where young people will talk about different issues that affect them. Could it be teenage pregnancy, HIV prevention? Could it be alcohol and substance abuse? How do they predispose one to have these infections? So I think that also has been helpful to the young people, and also in those support groups, in those friendly spaces, we've also incorporated the aspect of life skills where young people are able to learn some of the skills. Is it negotiation skills? Is it assertiveness? So all those I think has been helpful to the young people, and yeah, it is going on well.
Okay, so it's good afternoon to everybody who just tuned in, and please ensure that you post your comment in our comment section. If you have any questions for John, for Brian, as well as Elvis, if you have any contributions at all towards today's topic, which is the youth-led HIV support networks we are creating, or how can we create safe spaces, both online as well as in person. So make sure you post your comments in our comment section, and we'll be able to respond as well as read it as we go along with the show. Now, John, I'll come to you. I don't know if you're still here, John. I saw you a few minutes ago. Oh, yeah. Okay. So maybe before, as we are waiting for John to rejoin, I would like to send an apology that today we were not able to have our sign language interpreter, but be assured that they will join us next week at the same time. So once again, the apology that we're not able to have our sign language interpreter today, but we will have them next week as we broadcast to you live once more. So Elvis, is there anything you wanted to add on to what Brian has just said with regards to some of the questions that are posted to Brian? Maybe is there a reaction before I come to you with some other questions?
Maybe just a bit. So it's very important to be interacting with adolescents and finding new ways of interacting with them and building their adolescent support group and youth friendly spaces so that they grow, because it is a network where dreams come true. Actually, I would say it's a network where dreams come true. It's a way of maintaining yourself so it's you don't get distracted by all these bad vices that are happening in our societies, like teenage pregnancy and HIV. So if you are in that environment, it's very important. So let's find new ways of interacting with the different and ensuring that the network grows. Yes.
Okay, so Elvis, this question is for you. Looking at your group's work, what's a major challenge that you have faced in getting young people to participate, to also, and what's one of the successful solutions that you have found to overcome that challenge?
Maybe among the many challenges that we have faced, I would say maybe myths and misconceptions could be one of the biggest challenges that we face. Even when we are advocating to ensure that people know about our youth-friendly space, others think when you are there, then you are definitely an HIV patient, such things. So what has actually benefited us, it's the same youth prevention advocates campaign project. What we've been doing through the outreaches, community outreach programs and school outreaches, sensitizing people, telling them, actually we've had a very good response. People have been cooperative and giving us the right information. So I think it has become a solution for us to cater for the myths and misconceptions. People have become to have at least understood what we're trying to do. So, and we've also interacted with parents when they come for maybe to seek other services at the clinic, interacting with them, telling them to bring their children so that they can also join the advocacy campaigns that we're doing. And it's been working well. The response has been good. Yeah.
Thank you. John, welcome back. I have a question for you. So, John, what challenges have you faced in building or sustaining youth-led HIV support networks, especially in ensuring that these spaces remain inclusive as well as safe for diverse groups, young people, as an example, women, and how have you addressed these challenges, if you have faced any? I think your mic is muted, John.
I, I didn't get the question. My internet was tripping. Can you repeat the question?
No problem. My question is, what challenges have you faced in building or sustaining youth-led HIV support networks? John, can you hear me? So your mic is muted.
What challenges have I faced?
So what challenges have you faced in building or sustaining youth-led support networks? If they are not there, what challenges have you faced in building these networks that you talked about? But if they are there, helping sustain them, what challenges have you faced, if there have been any challenges, and what have you done to overcome or address these challenges?
Challenges I would spot out could be ICU materials. This is basically personal advocate, accurate information, and maybe just information that people can carry with home. I can point out to that. Apart from that, because when you look at the number of people I'm meeting with clouds of people, and oftentimes this is where again we may have people that are HIV positive but do not realize that they're HIV positive. And I think I need to expand my network to a point of maybe coming up with organizations that can be offering other services such as HIV testing and so forth, so that even in as much as we're giving out information on treatment, prevention, people can know their HIV status and people can make decisions in terms of certain treatment. Apart from that, I would also point out the aspect of moving, because it's not one school or university or church I'm visiting, it's different churches. And the stereotype I'm getting from some people is that what is he offering? And what is he coming to do here? Like, what mindset am I bringing in people? Is it a negative mindset or a positive mindset? So people tend to question my credibility, but I feel my advocacy approach is clear. Nothing but HIV prevention, and people that are living with HIV should not just survive, but they should thrive. If they have got ambitions, they can fulfill those ambitions. If they desire to be married, to get married, they can also do that as well. Nothing but just people thriving.
Oh yeah, thank you, John. Now, drawing from your experience in media as well as outreach, what role do you think digital platforms can play in scaling up the youth-led HIV safe spaces, particularly with limited resources that are available, and what could you do to complement the in-person efforts? For example, I'm saying we know there's so much of in-person spaces that are being created, right? What are we doing online to ensure that we are also creating safe spaces online? From your experience as in media and in outreach, what role do you think digital platforms play in scaling up these youth-led HIV safe spaces?
Let me first commend media, because I think they've been doing a good job of late in terms of spreading awareness and information with regards to HIV and other health-related topics. Kudos to them. And I think we can still do more than that. What we need is influence in terms of sensitization and information that can be accessible to everyone. Because when you look when you look at the young people we are talking about into the digital setup, almost everyone has a smartphone. Almost everyone is on Facebook, on TikTok, or other social media platforms. I think we can take advantage of that, regardless of our limited resources, to use the information we have to make a difference and share that information. An example, information can be simple but straightforward. Like, a person living with HIV does not mean your life can be negative, meaning that yes, you can be HIV positive, but you can still have a fulfilling life regardless of that. So such information again bring about awareness and just creating that safe space. The social media aspect is contaminated. The people that have the right information and still decide to do the wrong things, and the people that do not know anything and they're doing the wrong things as well. So we need to bring about awareness and continued sensitization. And again, with the law that we have, the cyberbullying, I think people need to be more careful now, because you can no longer gossip about people or maybe speak bad things about people, because you'll be held accountable for your words. I think there's also the aspect of people again being responsible with their platforms they're using. And talking about the in-person, as a person living with HIV, one thing that I've realized is common among many other people is self-stigma. The aspect of not people really saying bad things to you, but the aspect of you saying bad things to yourself. Like, you feel ashamed of being positive, you feel guilty, or maybe you're judging yourself, maybe because you think you got an infection, maybe you just do not understand things, and many questions are coming up. Oftentimes, that's what will put you in a corner with many mental struggles. But what you need to understand is that there's a road to acceptance. Acceptance is a wrong path. It is a very wrong path. It's a marathon. We don't get there the very day. We keep on moving. We keep on accepting ourselves every day. So you need to also look at the aspect of acceptance. Acceptance means that you do not have the capacity to change your status. You have got no power to change your status from HIV positive to HIV negative, but the power that you can make is to make the right decision and certain treatment immediately you're found positive. The other thing is taking care of yourself in terms of your mindset, in terms of what you feed on, what you invest on in your life, and basically your physical health as well matters. And when you do that, everything begins to fall off. Everything begins to fall off. Yeah, so a person living with HIV can actually fulfill and achieve anything. So do not let that guilty or the pity party draw you down, but always remember that safe spaces are there, and we can still continue making use of what is currently there, but we can still expanding in terms of creating good networks whereby people can fully express themselves and share their struggles, and they do not feel judged. As my earlier colleague mentioned, people need to know that their information is kept confidential, and no one else will have access to that. And if maybe a person has access to that, it is for purpose of getting help at a larger aspect.
John Moya, I'd like to thank you for coming on to today's episode. John Moya is an HIV positive activist as well as advocate. Now, John, before I let you go, do you have a Facebook page? How can people get hold of you? Let me plug you in right now. Do you have a Facebook page where people can follow you?
Yes, I do have a Facebook page and an account people can reach me on. John J. Moya or John Moya. You can find me on those platforms. Feel free to share your questions, your concerns, your struggles, and we're here to help each other.
All right, so thank you once more, Elvis, Brian, guys. Thank you so much for being part of today's episode. This has been the Real Talk. Topic once more was the youth-led HIV support networks, creating safe spaces online as well as in person. What innovative ways are young people creating? How are they creating these safe spaces and for each other, both online as well as in person? I think we really got a lot of it from John, from Elvis, as well as from Brian. So guys, thank you so much for being part of today's broadcast once more, brought to you with the compliments of the Inspired to Inspire campaign, as well as supported by AHF Zambia. To my producer, Rachel, all the way from Kenya, thank you so much. And to all our viewers across Africa, join us next week at the same time. I hope we enjoyed today's broadcast. Bye-bye.